There's one stock that is about to jump up, in my opinion. It is the picks and shovels for NVIDIA, which is the picks and shovels for OpenAI, ChatGPT, Meta, Amazon. These massive companies rely on GPUs, they rely on data centers, and they rely on superconducting power electronics. That's what this company does. American Superconductor Corporation, AMSC, is the ticker. Let's take a look at the stock and about what they do so we can decide if it's a good investment. Hit that like button if you like these videos.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
Let's jump into a little diagram of what this company does. So starting down here, there's data center clients. AMSC sells their electronics to these data centers. NVIDIA requires AMSC because their GPUs are so power hungry. They need AMSC power electronics connecting all the GPUs within the data center. These data centers use these high performance servers. This is the hyperscaler high performance computing segment of data centers, which is most data centers. I'm gonna be honest, ChatGPT, this diagram was extremely confusing, and I'm not sure it was in order. But you get what I'm saying. They're connected to NVIDIA, not directly, but, well, actually, literally, they are connected to NVIDIA GPUs. Here is the chart, and it's gone sideways after earnings, reclaimed. Moves about 5-6% a day. And right now it's super tight days. So it's only moved, well, 2% or less. Today is sort of a red day in the markets. Not sort of, it is a red day in the markets. But AMSC is just barely red. So it's holding in there. There's some relative strength. So what happens is the market's composed of all these big companies, right? AMSC is one of them. A bunch of big companies got sold off today, making the market get sold off, but AMSC was not one of them, at least not to a big extent. So that means there's more buying than selling in AMSC compared to the other companies in the market today. And let's say the market does turn up or goes sideways, there could be actually literally more buying than selling in AMSC. So there's more selling than buying in the SPY today, so it went down. But this is what we're looking at. Here's a line right here around $58. Hit it here. Hit it here. I like horizontal lines because everyone can agree on them, and you see that agreement oftentimes in the chart. It's just very visual. And a great example of that is NVIDIA. When it broke out, here's a line, hit it here, hit it here, hit it here. And it's not that people are doing what I'm doing here and looking at their chart. A lot of people are doing what people do. What I do as well is I open my phone and I say, okay, it got up here. I know the all-time high maybe, or I bought at the all-time high. And it's like, oh, it's getting up to where I bought it. After going down, I guess I'll sell it because I'm break even again. Now, I don't really invest like that, but I certainly have in the past, and I know tens of millions of people do invest like that. So they keep selling, and suddenly when some of them do sell, or they've all sold. And so when it gets back up to this line, no one's left to sell. There's more buying than selling, and we break through. So that's kind of why the lines actually mean something understandable. Like that makes sense. So there's a line for AMSC around 59 bucks. You risk 25 cents, something like that. And look, I mean, are there days where you say you're going to risk 25 cents and what really happens? I haven't said to buy Netflix on one of these days, but let's say I did say, hey, let's say this video was about Netflix and I was saying, hey, this video is about Netflix. This day is really compressed. Let's say I said, oh, there's a line there. There's a line there. It almost pains me to use this as an example because I wouldn't do this because this low is lower than this. But let's say I did. I said, hey, you can risk 25, you can risk a few dollars, you know, a couple percent, whatever it is, 1%. All right, even in this example, you would have been all right, right? Because yes, it did go all the way down here. So maybe you did lose a couple percent. You were only expecting to use 1%. But it took a few days to get down. But yeah, that's an example of you try to risk a couple dollars. Maybe you don't check your phone for a couple of days and suddenly you're down, you know, well, not a couple dollars because this is $1,000 stock. So you can't really risk a couple dollars, but you try to risk $10 and you end up losing $20. Okay. But again, that's not even a stock that I would recommend buying at that time. AMSC, however, you're starting to get sort of a flag. You don't always know if it's going to break to the upside or downside, but you do see a little bit of a higher low here on this close. This close was above this close. It did wick down off this line, but it closed above. And now it's shaping up. Okay, so enough lines, enough technical analysis, enough charts. But I like the charts because it's not about getting all math obsessed. Okay, there's definitely some math going on, but it's simple math, third grade math. And this is telling the story of what the buyers and sellers are actually doing. Now, with all that said, it is great to also say, what does this company do to make sure you're buying something that in the broader scheme of the market, it makes sense that it could go up. And it does make sense, okay? American Superconductor, they do the power electronics. And you need very efficient power electronics to make the best use of these NVIDIA GPUs. Everything is trying to get more efficient. And you need all the help you can get. So here's the company, okay? They basically enhance efficiency, reliability of power grids and data centers. They have high temperature superconducting wire technology. So they carry more current with minimal energy loss. So that's great for modern AI data centers. They have to pack all these GPUs in a small space. People don't want these data centers in their backyard. So the smaller they are, the better. This stock has, I don't want to read about this stock's price growth. We can just see it right here. From the April lows, the stock has gone on a 300% plus run. Now you might say that's not impressive. Well, NVIDIA did half of that, less than half of that. So I think it's pretty impressive. And there's a level, like we talked about, to buy off of. So is it going to go immediately? Probably not. You know, it's sort of a bigger company. This is like a reasonable average daily range. If you look at some tickers, like this is double the daily range, and you can see that in the chart. Like this thing moves, which is why everyone's talking about open door, open door, open door. It's the hot stock of the week. AMSC is not. And I like that. I really like that. Because open door, yes, I've talked about how it's a good time to buy it right now with low risk, but there's not no risk. I mean, this is $10 to $8 in a day. 20% is a lot in a day. So I like AMSC. There really hasn't been some candles like that for the most part. Here's a candle that was 10% down in a day, but you know, it also had a day where it went up 15%. This was just one candle. This day also, I don't know exactly how exciting it was at that time. It didn't digest for very long after going up quite a lot, so that's not super surprising. Plus, I had this candle as well that was kind of like a warning red flag. So over here, I mean, yes, we had this wick down, but it got bought up, which is pretty bullish. So now it's digested pretty much at this line. I mean, with some exceptions of going down and going up. For how long is this? 2 months. But I said I wasn't going to get obsessed with the chart. I'm sorry. It tells more of a story than this information that everyone can read. This is like a book report. But it is important. Okay, they're not going to get any big moves based on OpenAI news. You know, if OpenAI comes out with an announcement that says their valuation just went up to 800 billion because their 500 billion round was so oversubscribed, they had to open it up to additional investors. That's probably not going to pump AMSC much, but it doesn't hurt. Here are the other tickers to take a look at. It is basically a semi stock. I think it's going to move with the semi stocks. I don't think there's that much relation to the big names here, Tesla, Nvidia. It could pump with Nvidia a little bit. ON is definitely pretty similar. And that ticker looks like this. Kind of going not much of anywhere. It's moved slow, so I wouldn't get too caught up on that ticker. This is a crazy move. This is definitely the name to look at. And yeah, I think this is an okay stock to be excited about, even though it's not directly tied to Nvidia. It's just so far down the stack that it's not too surprising. You know, it sells power electronics that make up chips and wires that connect GPUs and servers. It doesn't necessarily connect. It's not like they sell like, what is something that Nvidia would directly use? Like some kind of gel that would cool their GPUs, or like a heat sink that would make their GPUs be able to work harder without getting hotter. It's not quite like that. It's more like the wires that connect them. But look, so they're pretty similar, and they're definitely in the AI infrastructure conversation, and the chart looks great. And you don't have to be an expert on data centers to know this company looks awesome. So that's the idea. If you like these ideas, head over to stockscommunity.com. You can try it out for $25 for 7 days. Hop in there. You can take a look at some recent course member live streams. There's one a week. So if you're there for 7 days, you're going to see one live, but you can also watch a recording of other ideas that didn't make these videos, and how you look at charts and how you look at companies to take something away from, you know, a scan, basically. How you scan through a bunch of companies and decide out of hundreds which ones are worth looking at. Now, I'm trying not to overwhelm you. I'm not saying you have to look at hundreds of companies. That's kind of what this channel is all about. That's what this community is all about. I curate and I give you the best ones. Like very, very few. It's not a day trading room where I'm just announcing, oh, this company got news, or this company went up 15% today. It's like, that's not really super productive in my humble opinion to tell you stocks that are already up. So that's kind of what's going on over there. And if you want to try it out, check it out. If you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, like it. so the algorithm can spread it around. See you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.